Okay, hi. Game week 8 is here. I'm thinking of playing my free hit this week, and I just want to talk you through why I'm thinking about doing that. First reason is that my team's fixtures are horrible this weekend, and I'm really not sure, how I'm going to get points or where they're going to come from. A lot of the team have got, difficult away fixtures, and then Hennessy and Wan-Bissaka have got a tough home fixture against Wolves coming up, as does Robertson, who's playing at home to Man City. Really the only players that I'm kind of happy with fixture-wise are Kane and Moura having that home game against Cardiff. So overall, my team's fixtures don't look that great this weekend, and that's giving me a little cause for concern. So really, that's kind of reason one why I'm thinking about using up my free hit this week. Reason two is that my bench is kind of terrible. Yeah, Guendouzi has dropped out of the Arsenal starting lineup, so he's not really a viable option for me off the bench. And then my other two bench members are currently injured. Pedro's still suffering from this shoulder injury. I just don't know whether he'll be back this week. And I know as little as you do when it comes to Benjamin Mendy and his injury and whether he'll be back anytime soon. I'm tempted to hold on to him because I'm hopeful that he'll be back after the upcoming international break, but right now neither of those two guys are going to step off the bench and play for me if I have any issues with selection this week. So my team's fixtures are horrible, my bench is looking really weak, and then the third reason why I'm kind of thinking about playing the free hit this week is that there are lots of attractive fixtures out there, I just don't have any players playing in them. If I run through those fixtures right now, even starting at the top, Burnley at home to Huddersfield, I think is a good fixture. I think there are probably attacking and defensive points on the table there for Burnley. They do look revived, and Huddersfield don't really look like they can score, so it looks like an attractive fixture. Leicester versus Everton should mean probably goals for both teams. I think neither can defend, so there's a good chance that that's a high scoring draw, or kind of at least that there's plenty of goals either way in that game. Spurs versus Cardiff is the obvious standout, and I'm looking okay for that fixture right now. Watford versus Bournemouth will be pretty tight, I think. There's a likelihood of goals on both teams, but again, a pretty attractive fixture because they're two pretty good open attacking teams. And I actually think that Man United versus Newcastle looks attractive too. I'm conscious that Man United are not playing well and that maybe those players are playing to get Mourinho sacked. And in fact, a bad result against Newcastle will probably achieve that. So there's a bit of risk here, but Newcastle just aren't particularly strong at all, and they don't really look like they're going to score goals. So whether they're attacking points you're looking for from Man United or defensive, I think that a home fixture against Newcastle is pretty perfect. Arsenal have a pretty attractive fixture away at Fulham, and Chelsea have a pretty attractive fixture away at Southampton as well. So there are three reasons really why I'm looking at this. A poor set of fixtures for my starting 11, a weak bench, and then other attractive fixtures elsewhere. So look, I've had a look at putting together a free hit team here, and I'll show you what that looks like right now. I really like this team. I think it could score pretty heavily this week. I love this team. I'm probably not going to make my mind up until pretty close towards the deadline. Remember, the deadline this week is earlier because there's a game on Friday evening, so don't get caught out by that. But looking at that team, look, I've gone for Hart in goal because I think that Burnley are going to do well. Elsewhere, there's players like Lacazette and Arnautovic who I think are looking good. I didn't mention that West Ham are travelling to Brighton, and that's potentially a good fixture for them because West Ham are kind of in the ascendancy again. Obviously, want to stick with Harry Kane. Like the idea of bringing James Maddison in. Like the idea of bringing Mesut Ozil in. I love the idea of owning Hazard for this week, even if it is only for 1 week. A big part of my thinking here is being driven by the fact that I think Man City versus Liverpool is going to be quite tight. I expect it will be a kind of a low-scoring draw or a low-scoring game overall, possibly another 1-1 like we saw with the Chelsea-Liverpool game the other week. It's complicated as well by the fact that both teams have played difficult games in the Champions League this week. So it's a tough one to read. I don't like having the idea of having too many of my points resting on that fixture. So the thought of using the free hit right now is really tempting. Logic would suggest that holding on to the free hit is a good idea, that maybe I should be waiting for a game week when, later in the season when, sometimes there are only 4 or 5 fixtures in the game week. But I'm not sure, I just don't know whether, in the past I haven't really had massive problems when it comes to reorganising my teams for those game weeks. And they tend to be pretty low scoring game weeks in general because of the lack of fixtures. And when it comes to double game weeks, I've usually been pretty good at kind of seeing when those are coming and using my wild card and bench boost or triple captain, accordingly. And so I don't know, it feels like there are attacking points on the table this week, and maybe I should be aggressive and use the free hit while it's still relatively easy to read. Like I said, I think I'll wait until the very last minute, but I do like the idea of using the free hit. The downside to this is that I wouldn't have my 2 free transfers next week. I really want those 2 free transfers to enable me to bring in Firmino and Mane for Liverpool's next 2 against Huddersfield and Cardiff, which feels like it could have a big potential kind of points upswing for me. So that's the tricky thing. So I've got 3 options on my mind. One is play this free hit and try and get as many points as I can in game week 8. Number 2 is maybe make a couple of these transfers to sort of mitigate it, but not use my free hit up. And then the third option is just let things roll. Just let things go as planned currently. Don't make any transfers, and then try and make things back up in game week 9. I'm going to look at the team news and injury reports kind of coming out of the Champions League this week and see how we go. But I really need Bernardo Silva and Aguero to have a big game up at Anfield if I'm going to have a good game week in game week 8, and that just feels like a big ask, a dilemma. Okay, let me know what you think. Let me know if you've got a kind of a similar set of concerns kind of going into game week 8. Please subscribe to the channel. Hit the thumbs up if you like this video, and I'll catch you next time. Thanks.